mijn kop. Ik via dekker moest die kleine vaart deemt op. Geef mir geen zacht lid, die drop.
Welcome to Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. I am your host, Judy Gold, and I am a very congested Judy Gold because I have allergies. I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it. And there's a lot going on up there. So thank you for tuning in. And we have part 2 of my interview with Eitan Bernath, cookbook author, foodie, 20-year-old, 90-year-old. I mean, it's crazy. And his book is great. So get his book. And also, if you live near Norwalk, Connecticut, the incredible Jessica Kirsten and I will be doing a show together on Thursday, June 2nd at the Wall Street Theater in Norwalk, Connecticut. It is going to be hilarious, okay? And I'll have more dates at the end of the episode. But if you are in Connecticut, get your ass there to the Wall Street Theater on June 2nd. And sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
All right, let me just tell everyone. 2015, you won Chabad's Power of Judaism award, Sfios Hashem. You in 2016, you won the Rising Star Award at Kosher Fest. And your whole approach was finding the comfort foods of other cultures, which I love because I think that's such a Jewish comfort food is so Jewy. Do you know what I mean?
I think that, for me, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, but I think, it also, as Jewish people, I think something that I try to sometimes talk about is I think that, a lot of people, it's so easy in our communities to think everyone knows about you. Like most people don't know about.
Oh, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And I think that, it's important for, I think, people to know, the history behind Jewish people, even something that I'm talking about crazy often, but, I have talked before, it's I do not identify as white. I identify as Ashkenazi Jewish,
Right. Same.
We're only white passing here in the US, but I mean, throughout all of Jewish history.
Everywhere else we're not, and exactly. That race, master race.
I think that and even the reason that we end up having white skin was because we were kicked out of the Middle East,
right?
And we were expelled, and then had to go to Europe. And so I think that obviously as a Jew in America, obviously you have to be conscious. Of course, we benefit from white privilege. We pass as white, but at the end of the day, I think that. And a lot of people don't realize that about Ashkenazi Jews is I think most Ashkenazi Jews definitely do not identify as white.
Right.
And, the way I say it's in the eyes of, an anti-Semite or a Nazi, we're not.
Well, and we know it because we listen to all the, I just had this happen to me. I was doing something and one of the people I was working with, I asked, I said, can you recommend this certain product? And the person said, oh, you'll like this one because it's less expensive. So the Jewish part, since you're Jewish, you'll like this one. And I don't want to get the person fired, and the person is also a minority, but it's it's very, because yes, you're absolutely right. Because we don't feel when we're around a bunch of non-Jewish people, you feel like the Jew. Even though you look like them, don't you feel like we feel like other?
Yeah, the ADL just released, in 2021, anti-Semitic incidents were up by 43%.
We're less than 2%, less than 2% of the population
in the U.S.
We're over 60% of religious hate crimes.
Yeah, the overall majority of all religion and ethnicity-based hate crimes are against Jews.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that I try to talk about on my socials, and because I think a lot of people just literally don't know that.
They don't know.
And I think that it's kind of in terms of the food, to circle back to that. I think for me, throughout all of Jewish history, our cuisine and the food that Jews eat is so vast.
Right.
Because, our traditions have been like, we've always been a moving people,
Right.
And so, a lot of the recipes that I grew up eating and what my grandma cooked and my grandparents cooked were from Hungary, which is where my dad's side of the family's from.
Oh, that's where we're from. That's where
really?
I'm from. I knew it. Woo!
We need a Jew.
I know.
Air horn.
That's so funny. I was looking at your features and I was like, oh, he sort of looks like that from Hungary, baby. We're the best looking, by the way. Go ahead.
Thank you. But yeah, and I think that's definitely an element of, I think would definitely influence me to be interested in food and learning about food from around the world. So I think it's also a cool thing about, being Jewish. It's kind of this weird mix of like a religion, but that's also very much a
culture.
Race.
And a race.
Somewhat of a race, because we're one of like the oldest civilizations, in all different parts of the world, there's Jews, but it's in a different way because we're like literally related down a
rabbit hole.
Yeah. And so I think that's very cool. When I was talking about Indian cuisine at the time I was younger, I had like a pen pal friend in Mumbai who is like an Indian Jew. There's Mexican Jews, Italian Jews. And so I think that, the Jewish experience throughout world history has been almost nomadic in a sense that like we were always kicked out. Obviously we had Israel and everything, but like for most of Jews have always been kind of wandering around the world.
Right. We've been wandering and we had to make do. We had to make do with wherever we were using the kosher laws, and we did it. Eitan, I have always, and I pitched this to the Food Network, I have always wanted to do a cooking show, host a cooking show of Shabbat dinners all around the world.
Oh, that'd be fascinating. Yeah, like in India, Mexico.
Yeah, and just to go there and learn about. So do not steal that from me, but I know you have a production company and that's all I have to say. Wouldn't that be great though to see how they all right. Anyway, through high school, you're getting all this attention. Does it get better in school? I mean, you're very you must have been so busy. And now you're at Columbia, right? You part-time, you go to Columbia?
I'm currently enrolled.
Okay. We won't go into that, but you got into Columbia. Oh my God, you're in an Ivy League school. Okay.
Growing up in school, I was definitely very preoccupied. In between classes, free periods, at lunch, I was on my computer working. I've always been very focused on my career. People are like, oh, like you're so lucky. This happened so quickly. And I'm like,
oh my God, nothing happens quickly.
Nothing happened. I've been working on this since I was 11. Right. And so, for me, especially in high school, my school was very accommodating. I took just the graduation requirements and I was given about half the day every day.
Wow. Did you do that at school? Did they put you in a room or Okay.
Just the library. I was very locked in. I wasn't crazy social during high school, at least during the day. And so I had an adjusted schedule to help me accommodate. At the time it was already lucrative and I was already already clear that this was my career. But at the same time, I kept my studies up. I got into like all the colleges I applied to. I ended up choosing Columbia. I'm in a specialized program where you can do it part-time. Yeah. It happens to be, I've now deferred for 2 years. And I'm trying to see if hopefully I can make it work.
Wait, I'll be your grandmother. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Eitan, you got into an Ivy League school. You're 20 years old, so you go to college for 4 years. It's not like the food is going anywhere. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that. I think, for my parents, especially, growing up in the Jewish community, obviously education is very important. I think, we were just talking about this, but I think something, that's so prevalent, I think, in the Jewish community is,
right.
People very much still have the Holocaust mentality. You have to get an education so you could make money, be ready for absolutely anything. And I think that, while obviously like it's not even close to comparison to, people that parents were in the Holocaust and the children of Holocaust survivors, I think just in the community, there's still a sense of like, you need to get an education, You need to be able to, no matter what happens, work whatever country.
Well, right. And you have to be the smartest, the most prepared. We have to overcome. We have to be better than everyone else.
Yeah. And so I think, of course, my parents did a perfect balance of being 100% supportive of my career and, enabling me to really pursue this while still making sure I kept up my grades. So, I am enrolled in Columbia, but, it's kind of the cliche of like, I told my parents, like, I want a year after high school to focus on my career. Most of the kids in my school, like 95% spend a year studying in Israel and yeshiva.
Right.
And so it was kind of in line anyways with what everyone did. So I took a year off. And it was kind of the opposite of what usually happens in the cliche where the person fails and has to go to college.
Right.
During that year, my career really exploded.
But you know what, Eitan, you got to also realize that we were in a pandemic. So for a lot of people, they left college. It wasn't the experience that they thought it was going to be, of course, but I mean, I hate to say this, but it's everywhere you look. It's like, do you really need a college education at this point? And the other thing is, it's so expensive. Do you think your parents were ever worried about you in high school? Like, oh my God, he's not doing what should he have a little bit of normalcy? Do you think did they ever express concern that you were too focused on this food thing?
That's a good question. I mean, there are definitely obviously moments, before a big test when maybe I was, just like cooking all night long and trying to make recipes. But I think in general, my parents just really instilled in me that like, you can and should pursue this 100%, but you got to keep school up.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of pressure, and I really credit my parents with, allowing me to pursue this at such a young age. The overall majority of people around me, my parents, highly discouraged.
Of course,
discouraged what I was doing, and
it's all about them, isn't it?
Yeah. And so, most people around my parents and I highly discouraged it. But, I think that, as it grew and, I think over that course of the year that I took off, I had been earning money since I was younger,
right.
But in that year it became quite lucrative to the point where I was able to then fully support myself. And, kind of at that point, and then once I hired a whole team, I currently have, besides for myself, six full-time.
That's amazing.
Employees at Eitan Productions. And so, it's obviously clear that this is a lucrative and smart career. But I'm definitely trying to I enjoy learning. I love learning. And so for me, I think I'm really trying to make a class or two of Columbia work because I'd love to have the opportunity to learn.
Right.
But in terms of kind of a normal kid life, I definitely gave up on it, during the summer.
Oh yeah. You sacrificed a lot.
Yeah, during every single summer while all my friends were at sleepaway camp for 2 months, I was home developing recipes, running my food blog, doing all those things. So I think that, I made a lot of sacrifice, on Sundays, a lot of Sundays when my friends were all doing things, I was home shooting recipes for my blog and stuff.
But you never felt you were missing out on anything, right?
No, I think it sounds like cliche saying this now, because obviously, with hindsight, everything is 2020, but like, I really believed in what I was doing. And so I definitely never thought it would happen this quickly and that I'd be doing this. I'd be at where I am now at 20. But I really did believe, when my parents asked me like what was motivating me or what I was doing, like, I was like, I'm going to one day become a famous chef.
Yes.
And so I really believed in it. And to me, all those years, it was worth the sacrifices I was making. Because there wasn't a doubt in my mind that this would happen. Now, I probably thought this happened when I was like in my late 20s, early 30s. But I've always been really motivated. And for me, it wasn't it was just when. And so I think, just throughout middle school and high school and after, like, I really always really believed in this.
So you not only cook, you interned with a professional food photographer. This I love. You said, I read that you love sweet foods.
Yes.
And now you're loving savory foods. So your palate is changing. It's maturing.
I've always been more of a sweet tooth. But I definitely, as I've gotten older, I still have a sweet tooth, but like, I do think I like savory food even more But yeah, I think, one of the cool things and something that I really enjoy about having now done my career for so long, even to 20, is like, I've really grown up in the public eye, and something that was nice to think about. That'll be
that's so right. That's so true. Yeah.
Is, one day when I have like grandkids, like they'll be able to literally like kind of watch me,
right?
Which is really, really weird to think about, but also exciting.
It's so funny because if there was no social media, like there was none when I was growing up, I don't know if you would continue. You might say, let me put this all on hold and I'll get back to it after college. But because of social media, you're like a social media success story. And I have a love-hate relationship with social media. Okay. You love s'mores.
I do. Actually, my team surprised me when I for my birthday, I went to Puerto Rico with a few friends, and
I hate you.
You don't like Puerto Rico?
Yeah. No, I want to go. I'm jealous.
Okay. And when I got back to the office, my team surprised me with actually the giant s'mores, which was really fun.
How can you hate bananas? Like, how can you hate? They're so good.
There's something genetically wrong with me.
What about plantains? Sweet plantains?
Yeah, anything in the banana family. See, this thing, I understand that I'm the problem. It's an Eitan problem. It's not a banana problem. Like, the whole world agrees that we like this thing called bananas, and I'm over here just...
Right. You have worked with Guy Fieri, Rachel, who I love. Don't you love Rachel Ray?
Yeah.
She's the best. What other, famous chefs have you worked with?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate to, meet a lot of my idols, both in the culinary space and not.
Right.
Guy Fieri, he's really kind of who inspired me to start cooking, and who really inspired me also to like cooking is cool. Which I think, just being
I know he's such a bro.
Yeah.
It's like, you think it's, I grew up with Julia Child, and that was, I also, who else I love? I love the Barefoot Contessa. I love her. Ina Garten.
She's a social media icon.
She's so great. And I love her relationship with her husband. Talk about someone in my age group who has taken to social media. She's just the greatest. What did you learn from, Guy and Rachel? I mean, I read that you call yourself more of an entertainer than a chef. And I think, though, that Rachel and Guy are the same thing. What have you learned from them? Because you sort of created this whole world, and now you're out. You've made yourself out in the world. What did you learn about being an entertainer? Slash chef?
Yeah, I think growing up, Guy really got me excited about food. I'd watch him on TV, and I would be like. I've always been very obsessed. So I'd watch him make something on TV, and then I'd like ask him, like, "Can you drive me to the supermarket? Like, I want to go make this." And so I think with Guy, he really like inspired me in a way that I really aspire now to do for other people. That level of excitement that Guy was able to light the fire within me is very much what I aspire to do for the people that watch my videos. And so I think, I really learned from Guy, the immense joy that can come out of, being excited about food and exciting about cooking. I think for so many people, cooking is such a chore. Like, I don't want to have to do it. It's annoying. And then you have to.
I love it. I love it so much.
Same. But, I think for me with Guy, I really learned, that like you could really make cooking fun, and like cooking is cool. Cooking is something to be excited about. And I think just in general, that a lot of people have a narrow mind of what careers there are in cooking. If my parents had $1 for every time someone told them that I'm just going to own a restaurant or become a caterer and fail, they'd have a lot of dollars. And I think that, Guy and people like Rachel and all them, really show that like there are these careers in food beyond just what's traditional and, the whole world of food media and food entertainment. And I think that that's really the key for me. I realized at a young age that was okay. Like, I really want to work in food. I don't think a restaurant's for me, but I love performing. And so I think for me, when my goal really is at the end of the day, obviously I want to teach people about food,
Right.
I would say a lot of my content is mostly honestly entertainment focused. My goal is to get people excited about food. Obviously I have certain content that's geared towards people actually cooking, like the book. But I also have a lot of content just excited about like, all right, let's just get you excited about things related to the kitchen and cooking.
You know, when I was reading about you and you talked about how you would taste something at either out or wherever, and you'd say, I want to recreate that.
Yes.
So when you would recreate it, was that you creating your own recipe? And you say you have a bad memory, but do you remember what things taste like?
Yeah, I think, everyone who's close to me always knows that my memory is absolutely terrible. I literally like rely on Google Calendar and my email.
Right, but don't you remember tastes? You like,
yeah,
you have to, yeah.
Weirdly, a part of my brain that it sounds like I'm making this up. It's really true. Oh, the part of my brain that has the best memory is food.
Right.
Like a lot of times, like if something's happening, like something happened to me, someone asked me about it, like I'll remember weirdly like the food I was eating or
right
like that, but I won't remember some of the other details. But yeah, I think with food, that's like an area of my brain that like really I like can remember a lot more. And so I think with me, like food is just something that gets me very excited. I think, when I those stories, how I develop those recipes, I would like you said, go to a restaurant, order a dish, try, be like, oh my God, I need to make this. I then go home.
Right. But it's so funny because you can't have that thing there with you and then the thing you made and go, okay, no, I need this. You know what I mean? So it is all memory. It's all sense memory.
Yeah. And I think also research is important. I've always loved doing research. I'd try the food, I'd go home, I'd watch like 30 YouTube videos of watching people make it. I then say like, okay, I saw most people did this, some people did this, it looked better when people did this. Then I'd kind of like take all this knowledge I learned and then go into like Google Docs, kind of draft out a recipe I think will work based on everything I just learned, test it, try again. And yeah, I think, a lot of research is always fun.
I used to do a bit in my act about how all I think about is food. And it's, and a lot of Jews are like that. And, I'll go to an event. I don't even remember the event. I just remember what I ate at the event. And I had this bit about like, oh my God, wasn't that a beautiful eulogy? I don't remember, but the chopped liver at the Shiva, and it's true. It makes me so happy. It's incredible. You are the
principal culinary contributor.
Yes. Principal culinary contributor of the Drew Barrymore Show. First of all, I love Drew Barrymore. Second of all, do you know Jason Kurtz, my friend?
Yes, I do know Jason.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a Jason Kurtz story. He was an intern at the Rosie O'Donnell Show before you were born. He was the greatest, and we would be off all summer. I was a producer on the Rosie Show, and we would be off all summer. And he came to Provincetown to be our nanny one summer. He is the best cook.
Good to know.
Yeah, ask him about his frittatas. Anyway, isn't he the greatest? He's the greatest guy. But anyway, and now he's executive producer of the Drew Barrymore Show. Oh my God. Were you freaking out when you got that job?
Yeah. I started just as a one appearance on the show.
Right.
And Drew and I just really kind of quickly
had a great
connection. And we became friends off camera also. And so the show then came to me with the offer for this role. And, I think honestly, a lot of because just generationally, I don't think I initially realized how famous Drew is.
Oh my God, really?
So, because I was becoming friends with her. And so I'd be talking to people close, other friends of mine. And I would just happen to mention things about her. And people would always give me a weird look and freak out. And then eventually one of my friends said to me, Eitan, I don't think you realize quite how famous Drew is.
Right.
And I obviously knew who Drew Barrymore was. But yeah.
But that's how you know your friendship is genuine too.
No, it is funny. I haven't even had an opportunity to ever, I haven't even mentioned that story. I think I've mentioned it maybe once to her, but I didn't really realize when I started Drew Barrymore.
Right.
And so it was funny because it was I had become friends with this person. And then I realized whoa. And it was kind of funny. That was the opposite. Honestly, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way because,
that's definitely the better.
She's just Drew.
Right.
And, I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity. I was the first TikToker. Variety reported that I was the first TikToker, even though I don't use that word so much to describe myself, but I did grow a lot on TikTok. to land a reoccurring daytime television role. And so
it's amazing.
So grateful
Eitan, I hope you sit back and go and pat yourself on the back. I hope you take a minute every day to be like, wow, thank you. I'm so lucky.
Yes.
Even though I know you've worked really hard, but you have to take the time to enjoy it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm really grateful. I know that I'm incredibly privileged to be where I am. And I am just like, always shocked at that this is my life.
And your parents must be like felling.
Yes, that is the correct word.
Yes. You are also, as we mentioned, Tikkun Olam, healing the world, which is the basic tenet of Judaism, even though everyone hates us. You are on the City Harvest Food Council. Is that correct? Yes. You're part of another organization as well that gives through food. By the way, everyone has to get this fucking book. It's so good. And I love the way you write. And I love that I kind of love that even people who are kosher can make all of these recipes.
Yes, every recipe in Eitan's world is kosher. And I think that I'm really excited for kosher cooks that are going to get Eitan's world. I think there's also a lot of recipes for kosher cooks specifically that really kind of push them out of their comfort zone.
Right.
And I'm really excited for that.
Right, because we're getting too bland. Also, in the Jewish religion, I have heard it's preferable that you're a vegetarian. Is that correct? Because if you're a vegetarian, that's kosher, correct?
Yeah, by some people's interpretation, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that would be, it would be more preferable to be vegetarian than it would be to, is that correct or no?
I mean, I happen to eat a lot. I'm not vegetarian, but I happen to eat vegetarian a lot of the week.
Right.
I'm just not like the biggest meat eater on earth. But I mean, Eitan's World has tons of vegan recipes, vegetarian, tons of meat recipes, fish, everything, dairy. So there's honestly a little bit for everyone.
I love meat. I'm sorry. I love it. I'm sorry. I love it. I love it. I don't like steak though, for some reason. You are almost fluent in Hebrew.
Almost in a big way.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. My son is going to play basketball in the Maccabi games this summer. Mm-hmm. And he's like so mad he didn't pay attention in Hebrew school. But he's now taking Hebrew in college for next year. So that's great. As someone who's 59 years old, I worry so much about the future for my children, but it's people like you who give me hope. So I just think you're just extraordinary, and your parents and your they did such a good job. Tell Yoni he has to call me when he gets, when he feels like shit about himself, which he never should. I ask my podcast guests 2 questions. Okay. Number 1, I'm very pro mental health. What do you do for your mental health?
Incredible question. I am very pro mental health as well. I think that mental health care should be just as important as physical health.
Oh my God, you're not kidding. It's so annoying, isn't it?
It doesn't. I mean, to me, I think there's no, like, if you hurt your foot, you go seek help. And you're not embarrassed if you hurt your foot. There's no reason to be like,
I know. It's so exactly.
So I have a therapist. I think everyone should have a therapist too.
Same.
I mean, obviously, at least here in the US, unfortunately, not everyone can, and it's a bit of a privilege to have a therapist, but I think that everyone should have access to a therapist. I think that, for me, I think something that's so important is a lot of people think if they go to a therapist, like you need a problem and that there's something wrong with you. But to be totally honest, like when I meet people and they don't have and they're like either
I am the same way. My God. I told one of my friends, if you don't start going to therapy, I can't talk to you anymore. It's like, how do you process and especially you're so inundated with stuff and people, it's really important to break everything down. Are your parents supportive with that as well?
Yeah, no, my parents do support. No, I mean, I started therapy after my grandfather passed from COVID. I started with a grief therapist, and obviously spent a lot of months dealing with that.
Right.
But then, after I got to a point in my grief where it was very manageable, I took a short break from therapy just because I very much associated it with grief and I needed a kind of a mental break.
Right. I have one thing I have to deal. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I started therapy again. And I think that, the important thing, so I have my every Monday I have a mental health Monday night. I finish work at 6. And then I have my therapist from 6 to 7. I work out from 7 to 8. And then I go out to dinner by myself every single Monday night.
Oh, I love that.
And
That's
I think it's so
great.
important. Yeah, I think you just have to be your own best friend. I think that whether it's with our phones or and everything in life, there's so few times during the week that, at least for me, that I have like time to just be by myself.
Do you ever take a social media break?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like cold turkey always, because I run a company. I run a company. Right. I have to pay a lot of salaries and stuff. But yeah, I think that's very important to take breaks. I think many years of my life I was working constantly, and so I've been getting better at taking vacation,
right,
which is important for mental health. But I think just in general, like making sure that it's a priority. I think that I live a very privileged life and a very exciting life, but also I have stresses that most
kids your age don't have.
Most 19-year-olds are now 20 don't do it. I employ 6 full-time people. I'm the CEO of a company. I manage quite a large business.
Right, you have a lot of responsibility.
I have a lot of responsibility, and that comes with a lot of stress. And so I think for me, therapy is super important. I think that and I think if you don't have access to therapy, have a person that you talk to that you
right.
trust. I think
there's lines, there's phone numbers you can call for help. Do you remember life without a phone?
No.
Wow.
Although my baby photos are all on like film.
Pictures. Oh my God, I feel so old right now. We used to have to bring the film to the store and then wait a week to see our photos.
I don't remember it, but those photos were taken for me.
Okay, whatever. I can't with you. Okay, here's my other question I ask everyone. The podcast is called Kill Me Now because about 100 times a day I say kill me now because I can't stand I am my mother's daughter and everything pisses me off. My mother used to be like, Judith, why are you getting your blood pressure up so much? And so what makes you really, really angry? It could be anything. What pisses you off the most?
That's a good question. Not to be annoying, but I happen to be known as someone who doesn't get angry.
Oh God, I can't. But something has to piss you off.
What? That's a good question. Actually, this is a good one. Like you said, you're your mother's daughter. I moved out when I was 18, and I think a lot of the things that my parents would get annoyed at me about, I now get annoyed at people about. So one thing is my dad's always crazy about turning off the lights in the house when someone's not in the room.
Right.
And I'd always get so annoyed because I'd be in my room and I'd walk somewhere and I'd forget to turn the light off. And I'd say, Eitan, you turn off the light.
I am so with your father on this. It's so annoying. Yeah.
And I'd be like, Dad, it's fine. It's just a light. But now that I keep my own home, I'm incessant about lights. My parents throughout when I was much younger, because I was picky, would always yell at me to eat because I would never eat. When I was a very little kid, and now when I cook for people, I am the most annoying person to be at a meal with because
you're like, eat.
I'm like, eat. I cook this food.
Right.
Whenever I have friends over for the weekend, and I cook them all food. Actually, I had friends over for a Shabbat a few weeks ago, and I cooked them this whole meal Thursday night. I spent the whole night cooking, and then Friday, a few hours before we're gonna eat, 2 hours before we're gonna eat, one of them goes, "Can I make a baked potato?" I was like, "No." You could starve.
What the fuck? That's not. I would be pissed off at that too. No.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you do when you've cooked an entire meal and your friend is like, I stopped eating blank or I'm now vegan? I find that so fucking annoying. It's like, figure it out. I'm not making special food for you. Do you know what I mean? But then I end up doing it anyway. But
they need to tell you before. My mom's can't eat gluten. So I grew up with making lots of
terrible.
Yeah, especially as
Sabrina, I feel so bad. So she can't have challah?
No.
Oh, Sabrina, I'm so sorry. Can your father have challah?
Yes.
Okay, thank God, Jason. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think to me, it's just like, tell me before. Like, if you come to the meal and you're like, oh, I don't actually eat this. You have my phone number. Please just tell me beforehand.
Well, just so you know, when you have children and you're walking out of the house, just remember every fucking light will be on in the house.
Oh, I have every light in my apartment on a Google Home.
Oh, I got to do that. Oh, no.
Yeah, watch this. Watch this. Okay, Google, turn off the lights in Noah's room. Sorry, I don't know how to help him. Of course, doesn't work around the world.
Oh, he's an asshole. Oh, my God. You're living the life of, I mean, you work your ass off. I'm not saying, but you are just, you should pinch yourself every day.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so proud of you. Eitan, can I meet you in person, please?
Yes, I would love to. Yeah, what part of the city are you in? Oh, I don't want to say that out loud.
Okay, ready? Before we go, I want you to guess. I'm going to give you hints of what part of the city I'm in. I'm going to call it Little Israel. Go.
Brooklyn?
No! It's in Manhattan.
Upper East Side.
Okay, you are really bad. The Jewiest place in Manhattan.
Midtown? No. I don't know. I knew.
Upper West Side.
Oh, yeah. That's where my parents met. I should have known that.
Oh, they did. I'm telling you, every restaurant around here is kosher and 5 times as much money as every other restaurant. I can't take it. If you ever want to become anti-Semitic, go to Kosher Marketplace on a Friday at 1:00 in the afternoon. Okay?
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a dumb answer on my end. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
you gotta get the Jew. You know everything about the world except for where the Jews live in Manhattan. Okay. Eitan, thank you so much. I wish you all the success. I'm jealous of your parents for all the nachas. And we have to get together in person and be Jewish together and eat. Yes,
let's be Jewish together in person. I am very excited for that. We'll make that happen.
And everyone, please get Eitan Eats the World. It's such a great book. And first of all, the sweet and smoky guac burger.
It's a good one.
I know. And with the pineapple, like, I love that. I want to make the garlic naan. So these spreads. Oh, and making your own. I love that your grandfather made lox.
Yes.
So amazing. So it's such a great book. Thank
you. Yeah. Eitan Eats the World's available everywhere books are sold. EitanEatsTheWorld.com is all the details. But anywhere that you buy books, you can find Eitan Eats the World.
And this book, I have to say about all the recipes in here, they are comfort food. And it's good for single people who love to cook, but it's also it's such a family cookbook.
Yes.
This is food for every age, pretty much.
That's the goal. Thank you.
But you're the best. You're the best.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I need to get myself a Jew bell. That I need to get one.
Oh my God. For guests like you, I have to do this, because otherwise I would just be.
Thank you so much for listening to part 2 of my interview with Eitan Bernath on Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. Kill Me Now is produced by Laura Vogel. It is edited by Colin Schmaling. And everything else for this podcast and in my life, besides the interviewing, is done by Brittany Jo Sowards. So thank you, Brittany Jo Sowards, who is going to be getting married soon. One more week till Brittany Jo Sowards is off the market. She's off the market now anyway. So happy nuptials to her, upcoming nuptials. As I mentioned before, if you are in Norwalk, Connecticut or near Norwalk, Connecticut, this Thursday, June 2nd, I will be at the Wall Street Theater with Jessica Kirson. I will be hosting Out Montclair Pride Festival in Montclair, New Jersey on June 11th. I'll also be performing in Provincetown at the Art House all summer long. I'll be at the Mansion in Sarasota. What the fuck am I talking about? Saratoga Springs. Saratoga, New York. on August 18. That's a really fun show. Outdoors, great. And City Winery in Philly on September 17th. There's other dates, but, you know, I don't want to inundate you. I also want to thank you so much for listening to this week's Kill Me Now. I am still reeling from the sadness that we have to live with in this country because people love their guns and their Second Amendment rights more than they value, I guess, children. So we got to do something because it's heart-wrenching and it's heartbreaking. So I don't even know. There's no words. I mean, there's no thoughts. There's no prayers that can end this. Only, you know, our representatives can maybe change the laws. But I don't want to end on a sad note, but I am ending on a sad note. I'm thinking about all those young souls, the teachers that, you know, gun violence is something that we don't need to have. And I wish it was gone. I wish it was gone. But I know you all feel the same way. And I'm congested, so it's even worse. But thank you. Thank you. I don't know who's listening right now. Whoever it is, I love you. Come over. Yeah, I don't know. It just keeps getting worse. Don't you feel like that? It just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's not the country I grew up in. It really isn't. Anyway, so I hope you're all safe and well. I hope that, you know, we can make some changes because it's just unacceptable. And I would be more irate if I wasn't so congested, but, you know how that goes. But thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter, Insta, TikTok at Judy Gold, JEWDYGOLD. Go to my website, judygold.com. Do whatever you have to do. Get my book. Subscribe and leave a fucking review. Thank you. 5 stars. And thank you so much for listening. And as we always say, so long.